Hi, welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope Live. And for anybody watching the recorded, we welcome you too. I'm so excited to have Alejandra Brady, who's just back from Italy. And her episode just released. It's episode 147. It's so good. If you haven't heard it, it's chock full of so many amazing tools of how to live your best life and be your most authentic self. First, let me have you introduce yourself. It's so good to see you again.
Sure. Hi, nice to see you again too. I'm still a bit jet lagged. I have been from Aspen installing a client's condo to Italy to all over the place in like the last 3 weeks with less than 24 hours turnaround time in between each one. So hopefully I speak clearly today. I'm going to do my best. So yes, I'm Alejandra Brady, and I am the author of I just won my second award for the book, by the way. So
Oh,
of the book,
congratulations.
I Just Can't Make This Shit Up. And my Oracle card deck for Feng Shui is called What Shall I Feng Shui Today? I'm a Feng Shui practitioner, interior designer, biophilic designer, all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah. And what I want to do and talk briefly about how anybody can find their authentic self and live the
Sure.
life. Because I've been talking to people lately about how they're like, well, good for you, or they feel jealous. But that's actually a signpost of, oh, this is what I want to do. And to take those feelings and be like, okay, so now I get to work with them and start taking action steps towards living my dream and my best life instead of sitting mired in that kind of yuck. So talk about how you became, and I love how you say, I started all this at the age of 50 because
Yes.
here you are successful and your whole spiritual path didn't even start till then and all of that. So how could somebody become their authentic self when they're like, oh, look at you, yeah, good for you, you're now an author and all these awards and
Right.
traveling the world.
Well, like everything else, it didn't happen overnight. I think the biggest thing that happened to me was, I believe it's Oprah that said, if the universe, if you don't listen to the whispers, and you're going to get knocked on the head, and on and on it goes. I had a lot of thoughts and little voices in my head, and I just kept ignoring them for quite some time, you know, and I understand that life gets in the way. You're busy. I was a mom at the moment. I mean, I still am a mom, but I mean, I was parenting at the moment. He's 28 now. So, I'm no longer in parenting phase. But, life just gets busy. You're working, you're doing stuff, and you push all those little feelings aside. And you just end up walking around dissatisfied and feeling stuck because it always feels, if you're not aligned with your purpose, I truly feel no matter how amazing your life is, you're always going to feel like something's not right. And I walked around for quite a lot of years, mired and kind of like, I don't know what it is, but it's not right. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know how to get out of this. And finally, for me, because I wasn't listening, and I wasn't listening to the tiny little voices in my head for some time, I got hit on the head, almost literally. I ended up having to have cervical fusion out of absolutely nowhere, which made me stop. And when I stopped, then I had time, and I guess I had no choice but to listen, because when you are in a neck brace recovering from cervical fusion, for anyone that knows that, there's not much you can do. So you can't go out, you're not driving, you're not busy, you can't even really read. And that stillness is what led to my starting to listen to the voices and to the thoughts that were going on in my head. And that's kind of how it all began, just paying attention to what I was being guided to do step by step, not the end result, but step by step.
So when you get these aha moments, and somebody listening says, yeah, I get those, but I don't even know what to do with them, what would you tell them?
I would say, if you're still in the middle of parenting or all of that stuff, and your life just isn't at a place where you can do too much about it at this moment, write them down. Start writing them down, keep a journal of them. And then when you have a few minutes, maybe you can carve out an hour a week, half an hour a week, whatever it is that you can carve out, kind of go back and look at them and see if there's a pattern. and see if that pattern lends itself to maybe helping you go a different direction. For me, it was all about the feng shui. Feng shui is kind of what opened my entire, I call it my gateway drug into all things spiritual, because I started with feng shui. I changed my own home around before I decided to do this for a living and become a practitioner. And that shift in energy and having my house support me energetically allowed me more time somehow. When I cleared out the clutter and I just made everything tranquil in the space, I gained time from that. And that then gave me the time to sit still. And that gave me the time to be curious and to write down these things. And that's when I just started noticing a pattern. And then from there, I went into, okay, let's start taking some aligned action towards some of these things. And it was small at first. First thing I decided to learn how to do is meditate.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to stop you there because I always listen to an episode before I release it. And I listened again, and I have cleaned out things in my work area, which I'm also a lawyer. There's so much in producing episodes, and then I'm also a lawyer. And even though I pride myself on having a paper-free practice, there's so much paper. It is insane. Sure. I can't say everyone opposing counsel practices the same way. Anyway, and I got rid of boxes and boxes of just stuff, and it wasn't just anyway. And I feel so much better.
Doesn't it? Don't you feel lighter?
I feel so much better. I got rid of 5 huge things of clothes since I talked to you. It feels better walking into my closet, and it didn't take long. By the way, this wasn't like a major revamp or anything. I just was reminded. I kept thinking about it after we talked initially, and then I listened to the episode. I was like, and it just prompted me to just get rid of stuff and clean out things. And also having a guest come stay in your house also is like,
there you go.
It always, like,
yeah. I had to pack for my 3 trips simultaneously because I wasn't going to have turnaround time in between them. It gave me another chance to go through my closet, because I was packing for I was packing for Georgia, an island in Georgia. I was packing for Aspen. It was snowing. And I was packing for Italy. It was raining, so I had 3, and it forced me yet again, even though my closet is always up to speed, I got rid of yet another bag of clothes. You just do when you're going through stuff. It's always an opportunity, and it can take 1 minute. It can take 2 minutes. Sometimes I suggest to my clients to keep a bag in your closet, that if you take something off or you put it on or whatever, and you're like, I don't want this anymore, have a place to place it that then can be moved somewhere else, and that makes it easier. If you're like, oh, but I don't want to take it all the way to the laundry room. I don't want to do this with it. So you just hang it back up because that's easier. Have just a place to pop it in at the bottom of your closet to do that. And my cleaning lady, whom I love, I've had for almost 17 years, and she's just a godsend and is so helpful to me. She sends a lot of the stuff back to her country. And the other day she came over and she showed me a picture of somebody wearing one of my outfits. And she's like, she was so happy with this dress. I'm like, that made me feel so great. Like, it doesn't mean throw everything away. It just means pass it on to someone else who can use it. No,
I went to a woman's shelter and took and I walked in with the clothes, and they don't think, some of it was paid, I know what some of that stuff was, but it didn't even matter. I wanted to go where women interview and things like that, but I was like, I just want to go to this shelter. And I go, wait, there's a couple more bags.
Good. And I've been accumulating.
It's one of the messages is about service, about giving, and all of that. So I've done this enough, and I've taken my kids to see. I wanted them to walk in to see how it feels to do things like this, and as they grew up. So yeah, feeding the homeless, all those things, and you never want to go when it's time to go. You never want to, or at least I'll speak for me. And I've never left not feeling better, ever.
That's amazing. I love that.
So
I love that. I've actually had clients tell me, and everyone's different. It happened to me the very first super deep cleaning that I did in my closet years ago after my surgery, actually, because I had to rethink my handbags and stuff because I couldn't carry the weight on my shoulders anymore. And I gave away and gifted and sold some of my beautiful handbags. I lost 4 pounds. just doing the closet. Like there was nothing else I did differently. And I have had quite a few clients. I mean, I'm not saying this is a weight loss method. Please don't take that away. But sometimes lightening up your surroundings lightens you up as well,
That's
because you're
so
not carrying that
interesting.
weight on you. So I've seen that quite a few times. It might be 1 pound, it might be 2
You know
pounds.
what? I feel like I lost weight. And
There
I was
you
like,
go.
oh, I wonder why. Because I'm trying to really walk a lot.
Mhm.
But I haven't walked the last few days, but I did give away this stuff. And I don't know. I have no idea. It's just, I don't weigh myself, but it's a feeling. So
Right.
yeah, maybe that's it. So there you go. Who knew you're going to get a weight loss tip on Week 12?
Like I said, don't, but it has happened more often than not when we do really big overhauls, and especially when it's the first overhaul where someone is carrying all this weight, whether it's their possessions, an ex-boyfriend's possessions, a divorced
Oh my God,
situation,
you always have to get rid of that shit. Oh my
oh, but you'd be
God.
surprised what I find. I
No.
mean, I've had clients that not only had like their divorce papers under their bed, but then like their ex-boyfriend's letters or something on top of the divorce papers all under their bed. And then they're coming to me going, I can't seem to find another
You
partner.
can't
I'm like, well,
manifest that relationship, huh?
so, we go through it, we dig through it, and it's very emotional. I understood that. Purging is not easy. It's not easy. There's such emotional attachment to everything in your life, from friends, it could be people purging to your things,
Yeah.
to your spaces. So it's not easy. I don't make light of it. And I've had to do it myself since my spiritual awakening quite a few times as well. So I understand what it takes to get through it. And sometimes it's easier than not, but it does make a difference in the end. And it
Yeah,
always helps you
definitely.
elevate.
Yeah. So you started with meditation, which I'm such a proponent of, and I teach and I lead meditation. So I'm not gonna, yeah. And I'm in a 2-year meditation teacher training program right now with Jack and Tara Brock, well, Tara Brock and Jack Cornfield, but which is amazing. And all the teachers, and I just feel like sharing this for some reason, but
Go for it.
and some of these teachers are just so amazing. And I thought, oh, I get to pass on these learnings to to anyone who's listening or anyone
Yeah.
who wants to know and things like that. And then I started taking another course from somebody who's such a brainiac. I would love to say I read the same books as this person, but I don't. I mean, I do not. I would love to. But then I realized the books that this teacher reads passes on that knowledge to me. Just
Right.
like I get to pass on all the magic I'm learning and gleaning to anyone who wants to get it from me. Like, we all have our own unique message. So
Absolutely.
anyone who has something that to teach and to learn, and we don't all get to hear it, we hear it from who we're supposed to. So I don't have to go, oh, I wish I read it. But those books don't, I mean, I wish I could say I read for most people, but I'm never going to, and I know that.
Right.
And that's all ego anyway, but I'm not that kind of a brainiac. I'm my own kind, I guess.
I like reading what I'm interested in. I find it
Yeah,
very hard to
exactly.
just read just a lot of my friends are in book clubs and stuff, and they're reading interesting books, but they're fiction and all that. I feel like I've just kind of gotten away from that. Like I just want knowledge and more knowledge and dive deeper. And if it interests me, like the biophilic design out of nowhere, I was like, yeah, I want to go do this.
And if
So
anybody wants to know what that is, you have to go to episode
yes,
147 because it's so well explained. And you're like, yes, yes,
yeah.
yeah. Um,
But
okay,
that
I
what it
want
lights
green.
me up is
I want plants in my environment. Like you end up, you explained it so well.
thank you. Yeah, but if it lights me up, then I'll spend time on it. And I've been able to differentiate that a little bit more as the journey goes on, right? Because at the beginning, you're like, oh, everyone's doing that. Well, I want to do it too. Oh, I want to read it too. I don't want to feel left out because everybody at our girls' trip was talking about this book. I'm like, I don't care. It didn't interest me. I'm not going to read it. It's like,
Yeah.
you need to focus on the things that bring you joy and that are going to help you move to the next level of your elevation. And I think that's another tip too, like, prioritize what you're going to spend your time and your energy on, because we can be sucked in so many different directions. And unless we set our boundaries,
Yeah.
people will take as much as we are allowing them to take.
Oh, yeah, the shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, I want that. I want that.
Yep.
I know. Well, or I used to take so many classes and courses and this, and I'm not going to say I don't still, but I'm down to the ones I'm taking now, and I mean, one's 2 years, and it's very time consuming, and I'm still
Mhm.
working, so I have to be really careful,
Right.
of what takes my time, and I'm still involved in life, so yeah. So,
There's a lot.
so how do you stay confident when the voices start? And what would you recommend? Because you're evolved a little bit, but other people may not be. So, what would you recommend other people do when those voices start? Because they do. It's a human condition.
Which voices are you talking about? Because since I'm
Who
a
do I
clear
think I
audience, I
am?
get
I,
messages all the time. But I
okay,
think you
the
mean when voices of
imposter syndrome, and who
okay,
do I think I am,
okay.
and or what, like you said when you started, um, everyone's doing this, and
I
things like
still,
that.
I mean, I would be lying if I said I still didn't get that every once in a while. You know, I'm going, the Hay House, You Can Do It
Hmm.
conference is coming here to Tampa this weekend. And so I'm doing a big immersive tomorrow. And then I'm going all day Saturday to listen to like Gabby Bernstein and Rebecca Campbell. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's like these people have made it. I haven't, but you know, I have in my own version. So I think I just go back to seeing where I was 5.5, 6 years ago and seeing where I am now. And it's like, okay, you have done stuff and you have accomplished things and you are living your life's purpose. And to me, it's more feeling than anything else. I can tell when I've done something that isn't aligned. You know, if I still choose you, because we all have free will, obviously. If I choose something, whether it's something that's not good for my body, you know, whether it's one too many cocktails or something like that, I I get immediate feedback just from my body and from my mind and from my guides that that probably wasn't the best solution or the best choice. And you know, just try and get back on course again and just try and remember that what I'm doing is here to help people. My entire purpose is to help people. So even if I start getting imposter syndrome, which I get, um, I just sit back and remember that the people that are meant to hear and get something out of it will. And those that don't, and those that have something to say about it, that's okay too. You know, we all have different journeys and we're all on different journeys. Actually, somebody just commented, I did a reel on Instagram about the love and relationship gua, which is funny that this is coming up. But um, I had a situation, you know, I'm very, when I do one-on-one consultations, I sit down and talk to my client for at least half an hour to 45 minutes before I touch anything in their house. I don't come in and start moving things around. We sit down and talk, see what's going on in their life, see what, you know, if they could wiggle their nose, what 3 things they want that would change, what's working, what isn't working, you know, all of the above before I touch or walk around the house or do anything. So for this particular client, her love and relationship gua was a pass through to outside to the patio. It was basically a little hallway, but she wanted to acknowledge it. And she had these beautiful pieces of artwork that have been in her family for many, many years. And it's a man and a woman. And I can't remember who it is. It's Isabella, and I can't remember the king's name, but it's a king and a queen. And it was a beautiful love story. So we put them on the wall there. And then I intentionally put things in twos because that's for the relationship gua.
Yeah.
And another feng shui practitioner comments on the reel and says, I don't agree with any of this. This is horrible. They look old. They're not fresh and in love. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, and this is not what the relationship gua should be. And it should be pictures of just the spouses, and it should be an intimate area. And at first, the first shock that went through my body was like, oh my God, I screwed up in everybody's
Yeah, yeah,
patio
yeah,
because all
yeah,
these
yeah, of
people
course,
put
yeah,
it there, right?
yeah.
And then I stopped and thought about it for a second, and I actually responded. I try not to. I don't try to bring myself into the mix a lot of times, but in this case, I responded, and I'm like, well, you know, thank you for your thoughts. But first of all, it's a pass through. It's not a master bedroom, so I cannot have intimate things in a pass through hallway leading to outside. Secondly, she's divorced, so there will be no pictures of her and her spouse. You know, thirdly, these pictures are very meaningful to her and they symbolize a great love story to her, you know, and you know, I don't use the one approach fits all, the blanket cover. It's like it has to be with what works with your particular client and what's going to work in the space. And more than anything else, you know, if the love and relationship corner is my kitchen, I'm obviously not going to have intimate photographs of my husband and I there and heart-shaped pillow, you know, whatever it is that she was saying I should have been doing. that was incorrect on what I was doing. I'm like, you have to first focus on what the purpose of the space is, regardless of what gua it falls into. And I answered her back and I was like, all right, I'm just standing up for myself. And, I'm not going to feel imposter. I know what I'm doing. I feel confident in what I'm doing. And I'm not going to let somebody who's also a practitioner, by the way,
Right.
make me feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But my first
Did you guys get it? So did you guys get into it on Insta?
I just responded to her, and she said, and she responded back to that. And she
did it blow
said,
up? Wait, did it blow up?
No.
Okay.
But she just said, but you should teach your clients. And I'm like, I do teach my clients. She's divorced. I'm not telling her to put pictures of her. Yeah. So either way, I squashed it. But my first gut reaction was, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like just you go right back to that imposter syndrome. I did something wrong and now I'm being taught.
Yeah, of course.
So you just have to center yourself and think about it for a minute and be like, no, I do know what I'm saying. I do know what I'm talking about here, and have that confidence.
Yeah, no, I definitely. And I love that. Standing in your own power.
Yes.
It's just so important.
It's hard sometimes.
Yeah. So this was so great. And anybody watching the replay, I'm so glad that you're on here and watching. If you haven't listened to episode 147 with Alejandra, you have to listen. It's so good. And all of the ways to contact her is in the show notes and of course on the website and everything else. And this was so much fun. We'll have to do it again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Have a great rest of the day.
Yeah.